I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, July the 11th, brought to you in part by Western Video Market. And boy, did they have a sale to start the week out on Monday, part of their 3-day sale, biggest sale of the year out there in Reno, Nevada. But my goodness, we knew it was going to be good. We didn't know how good till we got the results, but oh my gosh, did it impress. And they had lots and lots of yearlings on there on Monday. A lot of them coming out of western Nebraska, parts of Wyoming. They're going to get started here on their second full day. They got 3 big days, but the yearling deals are gone. But starting out here on Tuesday, going to have about 1,500 lambs on offer. Then they're going to get into the fancy calves, and by fancy I mean all of them will be fancy, and lots and lots of them. They got several calves this sale coming out of that Nebraska, Wyoming, closer up to the middle part of the United States there. A lot of Montana calves on there too. Then they'll slowly start migrating back west where their home base is out towards California. A lot of Oregon, Nevada, Washington calves on there too. And then they'll finish up Tuesday's session in the afternoon with a nice offering of replacement stock. And if you guys want some reputation replacement stock, they've got about 9 lots of bred heifers on there, about 23 lots of bred cows. You can sure get in there and get restocked if you need to. Just got one deal of pairs that I saw, but talk about the most outstanding, and they were all outstanding, but the most outstanding sale that I saw on Monday on the yearling sale was the McNutt cattle. And I've talked about the McNutt cattle every year since we've been working with Western Video Markets here, and my gosh, did they have an impressive offering there. They always have the program cattle. I call them the choo-choo cattle. They got all the bells and whistles on them, but there was 1,335 head offered in about 3 different lots, but they were thrown all together 1,000 to 1,010 pound. There was one lot there with 1,000 pound base. The other 2 had 1,010 pound base there. Home raised, fancy yearlings right there out of Ringgold, Nebraska, which would be up north of North Platte, Nebraska there. But my gosh, those calves have been, those yearlings have been running out there on nothing but grass, salt, and all natural minerals. But they, like I said, they had all the programs on them. Of course, NHTC, Verified Natural, had the Gap 4, had the newer ones, the Veg Fed, and the Beef Care. Everything you can do to one, all of them. 1,335 head, 1,010 base weight steers for early September. Bring $2.60 a pound, guys. That check they'll be getting from Western Video Market will be close to $3.5 million. Wow. But also Beaver County Stockyards, and talked to them at Beaver County on Monday evening, and going to have another, just a moderate, lighter run. I thought they'd have a bigger run, but he said it's just so wet around here. Not only is it muddy, but a lot of those country roads have been washed out. Just since the 4th of July, they're in the immediate area around Beaver County Stockyards, which is in the Oklahoma Panhandle and no man's land there on the eastern side. They've had 8 to 10 inches there in the local area. Of course, they've had a lot of severe storms in that area too, but lots and lots of moisture there. They don't get that moisture very often, but loving it this year, getting tons of it. But Beaver County Stockyards only expecting about 1,400 head, but it'll be a pretty impressive offering, about 300 calves. And one consignment of those calves is going to be about 100 just newly split from their mamas. Be weighing from 200 to 400 pounds. Really nice calves there, but all natural there, and then right off the cow, but light peewees. They're going to have about 900 head of yearlings. Of those, 8 loads will sell in load lots from 750 to 950 pound steers. Be a pretty impressive deal there. And then some packages of grazing yearlings. Just have a typical run of cows, about 200 head of cows. But you know, they've got moisture in that area, so as good as the grass gets in no man's land, Oklahoma is as good as it is right there now. But you can get on to dvauction.com, view and bid that sale at Beaver County Stockyards here on Tuesday. Another day, another new high. And I told you the outstanding high, the big bell ringer right there out of Western Video Market on Monday. But likely there'll be more new highs here today on Tuesday. Week in the Rockies with Superior, they'll be selling yearlings. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of those program cattle on there, and then there'll be some big highs on there for the area and for the kind of cattle that they're selling, and we'll give you the best update we can on that. But the bulls are absolutely in charge now. It may not feel like it, but last week's fed cattle market was a little bit higher as a whole. In the southern plains it was some lower as Texas didn't see the 179 that they had some of the previous week, all at 178, but did have a little 180 on the fed cattle exchange in Texas. But northern plains, where the bulk of the cattle were sold, was higher, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit like we always do on the feeder flash. But you know, as we see these record prices coming up, your packers are still in the black, still profitable. And that may be a little hard to believe, but I mean, they've got things going their way. They may not be making as much as they normally do, the three to 500 a head or a carcass, but still making over $100 a head. They should be able to get by on that and let the cattleman live, making some money here for a change, and good money. But as you can imagine here, as we get to these record prices, we saw a report come out here last week that we are importing more beef and exporting less, which you might expect. But the highest quality, highest priced middle cuts there of your favorite steaks and things, we can't find them any better than what we make them right here. So we'll be getting that, but of course we're going to be importing some grinding product and things like that. And to our neighbors to the north in Canada, we'll be getting some fed carcasses from up there too, like we always do. But that's just the way of the world when we see these markets go up and down. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens on the fat cattle market this week. Of course, it seems like we've got them by the short hairs. But by the time they put out their packer mentality and beat down the few sellers that they have in the fat cattle arena that sell pure negotiated cash, we're going to see. But I think we should be able to gain some ground here. The board's been fairly supportive, and on Friday we got the CFTC commitment of traders report there, and it showed there's a large increase of commercial longs in your cattle futures there, and typically that means that it's a significant investment from members of the packing industry and end users. So that bodes well for what we're looking at. That's kind of a bullish signal right there. But you know, it's dry in some spots. I've been talking about it. Central Missouri is extremely dry, and due to that, they're having big runs of cows. Of course, in your regular weigh-up sales for the regular auction, and then occasionally going to have some special bred cow and pair sales. Going to be having one of those Callaway Livestock Center that is right on I-70, right in the middle of the state, halfway between Kansas City and St. Louis, right there at Kingdom City, Missouri, and really good location right there. If you want to send trucks in there, it's easy for them to find, easy for them to get in there, get loaded and get out. But the extreme drought in that central Missouri area is bringing these cows to town, and they're going to have a huge special there, bred cow and pair sale. It's going to be this Thursday on the 13th of July, evening sale starting at 6 p.m. View and bid that sale on dvauction.com. Give Jack Harrison a call there at Callaway Livestock Center and talk to him about what the highlights are in the offering, what he might have that you might be interested in. Talk about your board to start the week out, and it was moderate gains all across your cattle board, which makes you feel good to start the week. But August live cattle futures were up 20 cents at 177.20. October was up 57 cents at 179.95. The back months on live cattle are up 15 cents to up 57 cents. August feeder cattle up 82 cents at 246 and a quarter. September up 87 cents at 249.47. That's getting awfully close to 250 there. Back months on feeder cattle up a dime to up $1. December corn, and that was very strong right in the face of higher grains to start the week. December corn up 5 at 492 and a quarter cent, but still, under that $5 a bushel there. And when you're feeding cattle, we loosely say you can kind of double what your corn is, and that's going to be close to what your cost of gains are. Of course, our inputs are higher now than what they were when this was always ringing true, but being less than $5 a bushel, there's a chance for people to be able to feed those cattle for $1 a pound cost of gain. If you're doing that and the pounds are worth nearly $2, that's why these yearlings are bringing so much, guys. And you might think that there's no way that they'll work, but when you put a pencil to them, they get pretty close. So these guys haven't necessarily completely lost their minds, but they are betting on the come a little bit and getting pretty aggressive out there. November beans up 27 3/4 cents a bushel for Monday, ending regular trading at 13.45 1/2. Kansas City September hard red winter wheat contracts were down 7 at 8.11 1/4 cents a bushel. The weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade on a direct basis out of your 5-area feeding region totaled up 62,100 head. That compared to the extremely light movement there the week before the 4th of 45,300, and about the same as the same week a year ago on the holiday week, 61,700. But live sales of steers and heifers in your 5-area feeding region ranged from 176 to 186.50. We hadn't heard the 186.50 last week or even on yesterday's feeder flash for Monday. 185 was the best we had heard direct sales in your 5-area feeding region, but your late sales are always the best when your packers are really hungry like they are right now. Guys got to hold out to get the best price, and you think, well, how many of those cattle actually sold at 186.50? There was over 2,000 of them that sold at 186.50. Only 163 had brought the low end of 176, but your weighted average on live steers in the 5-area feeding region was 182.06. That was 73 cents higher than the previous week. Even though your Texas sales were steady to $1 lower, Northern Plains sales were steady to $2 higher there. And on their dress sales, mostly all up in the Northern Plains, ranged from 285 to 293, mostly 290, and that would have been pretty much steady for the most part with the previous week's sales. But your weighted average on dress steers was really close to 290 at 289.99, but that was up 65 cents from the previous week. Nationwide, they sold 75,400 head negotiated all across the country. That compares to 53,500 the previous week, 71,500 the same week a year ago. Of the 75,400 that was sold negotiated, 29% of those, or about 22,000, were for the 2 to 4 week delivery there. There was negotiated grid sales of 51,000, which negotiated grid continues to increase. Forward contracts only 13,400, and formula sales were lighter than normal by a long ways at 213,900. But of the negotiated, of the 4 of the 5 areas that we get information on, Iowa had 27,500 negotiated, Nebraska just 17,600, Kansas had 9,300 head negotiated sales, and Texas only 7,600. Box beef cutout values to start the week were lower again, and they've been a ton lower here at the end of last week and starting this week. But choice cuts Monday afternoon were down 311 at 313.79. Selects down 330 at 282.33. Slaughter was good to start the week out, and we're expecting a big slaughter this week, but 125,000 head harvest to start the week on Monday, and that's a pretty good clip right there. Talk about what else is going on. the Night Latch Group of Western Oklahoma. That's Andy Cunningham there. He can help you wherever you're at. I mean, they've got computers and they've got phones there in Western Oklahoma, and he's licensed to help you just about anywhere you are. If you've got significant numbers of cattle, or even if you only have a few, to help you with your risk management. But he wants you to hang on to your investment, hence the name Night Latch there. But he can help you out with your gross margin policies, which he's kind of a specialist on there. Your LRPs, of course, crop insurance, and drought insurance. So get a call into Night Latch Group at nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on DV auction based on the 800 pound on the average steer, cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states, just like your CME feeder cattle index. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 238.89, down $6.56. Was the market down? No, but I told you we were running on extremely light numbers because we didn't have many sales last week, and the few sales that we did have, most of them were specials. So we were dealing with the very best cattle there. We knew it was going to come back down. It's kind of lined back up with your CME cash feeder cattle index now, but it is a precursor. And your CME cash feeder cattle index will always follow right behind. But talk about your big sales to start the week out. Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri, 12,700 head. These markets, when they get super high like this, all-time record high, it is bringing cattle out of the bushes, guys. They're bringing cattle in there like crazy. I got some videos from some friends of mine at Joplin, and they were showing, the stretch axle pots were lined up like goosenecks there at Joplin Regional Stockyards on Monday morning early there, and they started extremely early there. Got done in good time, and had a lot of smaller groups there. I mean, had a lot of unweaned calves in there, but the market's so darn good. And compared to the last sale, which was 2 weeks ago, steers sold $8 to $12 higher, heifers $4 to $8 higher. And indeed, Joplin Regional Stockyards was your national beef wire stick out sale of the day. Look at your best tested weights, and of course most all of your weights of feeder cattle were very well tested. And mind you, this includes a lot of unweaned calves, a lot of commodity type cattle there. They get a lot of crossbred cattle that come up from Arkansas, Mississippi, and places. Of course, they get the best cattle that you can buy anywhere, that can go anywhere too. So it's a big mix of cattle there. But look at your calves at Joplin there. 1,349 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 552, with a weighted average price of $261.23. 1,464 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 642 pounds at $254.31. 863 head of 7-weight steers in Joplin, average 757 with a weighted average price of $238.73. And 1,327 head of 8-weight steers in Joplin, averaged 839 pounds. The weighted average price on all of them of $236.53. How about some heifers? 942 head of light heifer calves in the 4-weight group, average 454 with a weighted average price of $235.49. 1,508 head of 5-weight heifers, average 553 at $236.85. And 1,088 head of 6-weight heifers, average 641 at $234.83. You notice those were all within $1 or $2 of each other, the 4s, 5s, and 6s, but those lighter ones would not have been weaned. Some of the heavier ones would. But you get up to the 7-weight heifers, 803 head of 7-weight heifers, average 749 pounds, weighted average price $225.48. Had a stick out sale in Joplin, some reputation yearling steers there, 130 head, weight 863 at $246.75. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had kind of a lighter run, especially considering that they were closed last Monday for the 4th of July. 6,900 head, but just like Beaver County Stockyards, it's muddy through central Oklahoma in places that bring cattle in there, and just really hampered getting the cattle in, and that had a lot to do with the curbed receipts out of there. Market was higher. compared to 2 weeks ago. The last test, feeder steers are $3 to $5 higher. Feeder heifers $5 to $10 higher. And you look at a stick out deal from National Livestock there, 52 steers weighed 639 and bring 271.50. How about some individual quotes from different places? How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota? They sell a long string of big feeding steers, 252 head, weighed 978 and bring 228. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri. It was the Simpson cattle, and I told you about them last week when we were talking about them having a big sale at Callaway on Monday. They had a big consignment coming in there, all black, all weaned, long time, all double vaccinated, all home raised. How about 84 steers weighed 635 at 296.75? You think about what heifers might do. 94 lighter sisters weighed 580 and bring 275.50. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.